Howdy folks, Kathy Williams-DeVries here, bringing you your 8th clarinet lesson. Last lesson we covered the new notes of A and B flat, the concept of a key signature which alters every note of a certain pitch. For example, we've learned about the B flat key signature, which means that every B in the piece is flat. I'm going to just go over a couple of the pieces we did. I'm going to loop them and play them 3 or 4 times. So this is Yankee Doodle. Again. Okay, so also remember that when you're tonguing, say da, where the tongue just lightly touches the reed and stops a vibration, but you don't actually stop the breath. Note that with the A, we just roll to the A, and that you just stick the register key on, but not the thumb hole for the B flat. Let's revise another piece we did last lesson. And this is the concept of 3/4 time. 3 beats in a bar, 3 crotchet beats in a bar. And we also look at when you put a dot after a note, it increases it by 50%. So if you've got a minimal half note with a dot after it, it's worth 3 beats. The 2 for the minim and the 1 for the dot. So this is counting 3. I'm going to loop it and play it through a few times. Play the line through without having to breathe, because the longer you can go without having to take a breath, and we'll gradually build that up as the pieces get longer, the better. Okay, our next concept is that of the slur and that of the tie. I mean, they're pretty much the same thing, except that with a slur you don't tongue the next note. So and then you have the tie. The tie is just a slur between 2 of the same note. If you're in this next piece, we'll have a dotted minim tied to a dotted minim, so that's 6 beats without breathing or tonguing. Okay. So this is Down in the Valley. I'll loop it and play it through a couple of times. we've done to date. So if you've been able to go through that a couple of times, you're really doing really well. Okay, so we've got a few more slurs, a few more ties, we've got crotchets and crotchet rests, and we're in 3/4 time. I'm just going to loop this, play it through. I'll play the top line and then the bottom. That's fun. We're doing some fun stuff. Now we're introducing you to the concept of a first and second time bar, because when you play a repeat, the composer doesn't necessarily want to play the whole piece the same, so he might like have a coda at the end. So what happens is you play all the way through to the end of the first time bar, go back to the beginning, and then when you reach the first time bar, skip to the second time bar. But I'll play this through and I'll show you how that works. Again. Fun, isn't it? And we're getting back into 2/4 now. That was actually called March of the Victors. Okay, we're learning a new note and new key signature. We've heard about flats. Flats flatten, lower the note by 1/2 of a tone. Sharps raise it by 1/2 of a tone. And in this piece, the Ukrainian folk dance, we've got an F sharp in the key signature, meaning that every F in that piece is an F sharp. F sharp, if this is G, put your first finger down, not the thumb. And also in this particular piece, we come across staccato. Staccato, just as a dot after the note makes it longer by 50%, a dot under the note called a staccato cuts it by 50%, so that you only play the length. So if you've got a crotchet or a quarter note, you only play the length of a 1/8 note. So in rather, you go, but keep the air going. Don't stop the air just because you're stopping the reed So, well, let's take this through a couple of times. Make a difference between the notes that don't have a staccato and the notes that do. And we've got a couple of dynamics too. It's a forte at the beginning, moderately loud, forte, loud, so make a distinction. Isn't it? That's quite a nice little jaunty piece. Okay, now what we're doing is we're rolling from A to F sharp. See how I'm just rolling? In this duet, we're rolling between the A and the F sharp, and we've got something new. It's called the Anacrusis or upbeat, because sometimes the composer doesn't want you to start on the first beat of the bar. He might want to start on the last beat of the bar. Actually, if you think of Happy Birthday doesn't start on the first beat of the bar. You have an upbeat, don't you? Happy birthday to you. So, this is what's called an anacrusis or an upbeat, and what happens is that you take away the value of that upbeat from the last bar. So in this case it's a 4/4 bar. You've got an upbeat of 1 crotchet, which means the last bar is only worth 3. Okay, I'll loop this and we'll play it a couple of times. So now we're building on these skills. We've got quite a nice little tune called Rockin' On, and this is quite long actually. It's got quite a few bars in it. Well, actually it's 3 lines long. It's 16 bars long. This is the longest one we've ever done. So we've got crotchets, we've got slurs, we've got rests. Sometimes you're moving more than one finger at once. I'm going to loop this and we're going to play this a couple of times. From like F to D's and E's to C. quite a challenging little tune. It's quite long. You're lifting more than one finger at once. So I'm thinking between G and D, and F and D, and E and C. So I would recommend that you just practice those intervals away from the piece. And then stick the accompaniment on. Right, we've got a couple of rhythms. We don't really want to go through that. Okay, I think we'll leave it there. No, we'll go on. This piece has an Anacrusis, and it has staccato, and it has the first and second time bar. So let's loop this and we'll play it a couple of times. It's called Mexican Fiesta. Is fun as well. Notice that we've got two flats in the key signature. Notice we've got two flats in the key signature. B flat and E flat means all the E's in this piece are flat, but we haven't learned E flat yet. There is no E flat yet, but it's the concept of a key signature. If you once you start learning your scales, you'll realise that there are keys that pieces are in. When you have no key signature, it's in the key of C, and it usually ends either on a C or some note in the C triad. This particular one is in B flat. B flat has two flats, B flat and E flat, but we'll probably get into that a little bit more when we start doing scales. Also, this piece, practice going between F and B flat. Make sure that you get that thumb out of the thumb hole. And also rolling from F to A. And notice there's a difference between that the first couple of notes don't have staccato in front of them. Okay, the next piece, square dance, make the difference between the staccato and the non-staccato. We're also slurring more than one note at a time. We've got a slur of 3 notes in there. And divisi is in an ensemble situation where you divide up. Half the people play the top line, half the people play the bottom. I will play the top line the first way through and the bottom line the second time through. So this is square dance. play that through again. Little piece, isn't it? Okay, so the last piece we're going to cover in this lesson is C song. Again, you've got an Anacrusis. We're getting quite fast too. We've got quavers, or eighth notes. Plus we've got a first and second time bar. Let's loop this and play it through a couple of times. One more time. So we'll leave it there at C song. Next lesson we'll be working more on quavers, looking at dynamics such as crescendo and decrescendo, which is getting loud and getting soft. And I suppose the first concept of phrasing and having to take a quick breath. We haven't really talked much about breathing. But we will start talking about that in the lesson to come. So that's been your 8th clarinet lesson. I'm using the Premier Performance Book 1 and Smart Music. So I hope you have gotten something from this lesson. Please join me for lesson number 9. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.